The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode, a special episode, a trade deadline, unofficial halfway point episode of the Phixated Podcast. I am your host, Mike Azalina, and I'm joined by a man I'd never trade for anything, Regzy Boo. Welcome back.
You're too sweet. I'd like to know the offers you'd get. I'm not sure how expensive they'd be, quite honestly.
For a guy who golfs, hugs well, and has a great podcast voice, and who also is one of the best friends you can have, I'm pretty sure some high offers would come in.
I appreciate that you added that fourth thing at the end. I was kind of wondering what you were going to say there. That's like what my value was. That's like, what's that one TV episode where it's like, would you pay this much money like to save your friend? You know, it's like, what's the number?
Wait, they did a show on that?
I swear to God, it was like a Seinfeld thing, like something like that. Yeah,
that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense. That lines, it tracks well. It tracks.
Well, look,
It tracks well.
Ditto to you, friend. I wouldn't trade you for the world.
I mean, hey, I think, we had some fun conversations. We've actually been on for about, 20 minutes or so now. We talked about my first ever Eagle. We talked about Surfside Vodka. It's a free,
Well, look, it doesn't have to be. If you're
advertisement.
out there,
yeah, if you're listening.
you know somebody.
We talked about something else, and I forget what it was. Or something else that we were talking about. I was like, we should have saved this for the show. I don't remember what it was. But we had a lot of conversation here before we.
We've been very clear with people. Half of this is you and I just catching up every week,
It sure is.
just talking about what's been going on, how
Sure
everybody's
is.
doing. Like that's literally the first, like you said, 20 minutes to a half hour of when we actually get on Discord before we even press record. It's one of the best parts about doing this.
It's wild, Regs. Today I texted you and said, hey, it's going to be a little later. We anticipated leaving my cousin's graduation party earlier, but when you're with family,
Yeah,
sort
of
of goes out
course.
the window. And it's in Easton, so we had to drive an hour and a half to get back. But what's crazy to me is, so my cousin Mikey graduated high school.
Okay.
And we were looking at old pictures. His dad, who's my first cousin, we were looking at pictures, and I said, all right, look at him here. He's probably like 4 or 5. And our grandfather was still alive. I was like, so what year was this? And he's like, well, Michael was born in 2006.
Jesus.
And I was like, oh my gosh. We were salty.
Yeah.
Because he even said to me, he's like, you're not in any of these. Like, Joseph's in. That's my brother. And he's like, why aren't you in any of these? I was like, well, because I was in college.
Yeah, right.
And so I didn't come home for birthdays
Yeah.
and stuff. So it's wild. I mean, he's going to crap, I'm drawing a blank. He's going to play football in college.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a good player, really good player. And he's going to play. It'll come to me at some point, but he's going to play linebacker.
Attaboy.
Yeah, that's small. I mean, small score, like a Division III, but I mean,
Still.
Any college.
Listen, still got to put in the work. You still got to get there.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's super. They're I think they might move him to safety, from what he was talking about today. But he starts going for 3 days.
Oh yeah, they don't mess around.
No, he's going for 3 days in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's cool though. It's cool. He's gonna play against Lebanon Valley, so he's coming out our direction. I'll
Yeah.
get to go see him. It's funny. I remember who he's playing, but I can't remember the name of the school that he's going to. And I looked there. It's gonna come.
It'll come to you. Just blurt it out when it comes to you.
Yeah, I will. I'm just gonna say that out of nowhere.
Stuff like that is wild though. Like I had a cousin of mine come down. We were at the beach over July 4th weekend with my parents and my brothers. and a cousin came down who is a little bit older than us, 4 or 5 years, but his oldest son is like right in between my two guys, my oldest two. And like, you know, you start talking about how we used to just like play run the bases at our grandparents' house because there were, out of that side of the family had 16 cousins, and one was a girl. So like we just, my one uncle had 6 kids. They were all boys. And like combine that with the 3 of us and the rest of the boys, like it was just, you know, at that age when like everyone's from like high school to, you know, first grade, it's just, you know, obviously a chaotic mess. And you go play run the bases in the street, you know, and you're sliding as you do on asphalt and all those fun things that you do as a kid when you don't feel pain and recover quickly. We were just the boys were playing wiffle ball, you know, on the beach together, which was hilarious. But it was just funny. We were talking about playing run the bases, you know, in the street. And then you think back to when you were just a kid and, you know, now you're 36 and he's 40, you know, and we're just like, Jesus, what happened?
Yep.
What happened?
We were kind of laughing because, you know, Mikey had a bunch of his like high school friends over, and one of them is walking on at Notre Dame. And
wait, like the Notre Dame
he
for
was
football?
the quarterback. Yeah, he was the quarterback at my alma mater.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's walking on there. And so he and all of his buddies were playing like pool basketball.
Yeah.
Which we used to do in college.
Yep. At the cottage. Shout out the cottage.
Shout out cottage. And we were all like my cousins who were my age and myself were standing like outside the pool watching. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're the old people who stand and watch.
Yeah,
like we're the old people that they talk about later while they're drinking.
Right.
Leave. And that's us. Like, that's crazy. He's going to Widener.
There it is.
And I think I spelled it wrong in his card, actually.
Widner, right?
I thought so, but my brother just said Weindn. I think he spelled it wrong. Wid.
I feel like I drive by it every time I go to a Phillies game, so I think it's Wid.
Yeah, Ener.
Widner. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. That's where he's going. Gosh, it's driving me nuts.
Well, there you go. You just go see him on the way to a Phillies game. You'll be there all the time.
I mean, listen,
another funny thing happened. The trainer that my oldest son goes to runs a couple like showcase teams. He like sponsors a couple showcase teams, and he coaches him and his brother who coaches at University of Maryland. And then he has a guy who used to won a championship with the Nationals, who coaches with him. And what we saw on Instagram, one of the kids is going to E-Town. And I was like, hilarious. So of course, you know, at one of Cole's things, I was talking to him, and like he like met Shively and like, you know, talked to him about recruiting the kid and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, man, I was in college with that kid.
Yeah.
And now he's like,
I just saw him at a concert.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Came right over, said hi to Andrea and myself.
He's doing some good stuff there, man.
I mean, look, he was a heck of a player. Doesn't surprise me.
The most unassuming guy of all those guys that we knew, right?
Mm-hmm. Super quiet dude, but like set like a record as a freshman.
Yeah, right.
Triples.
He was like really good.
Really good player. Really good player.
Did you see that some kid who started at E-Town went to Virginia Tech and set their all-time hits record? Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How wild is that?
Yep. I was actually, yeah. I think Shively was telling me about it when I saw him at that concert.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good program. E-Town's got a really good program. Always has.
They're doing a good job.
It's crazy that they actually looked at me for a little bit.
I feel like you and I could have made that team if I had focused on baseball a little more.
I don't know. I played all the positions I played. They had dudes at.
Yeah, I feel like we could have done it. We could have done it back in the day.
I was scrappy.
Listen, I could throw hard and I could hit. That's about it for me. Stick me in right field. That howitzer we were talking about that the Phillies are missing, I'd give that to you. I could do it. I could do it from right field.
I love it. All right, man. You want to talk about the Phils, or
I was about to say transitioning
do this all night.
Right into it.
All night.
Listen, this is one of our shorter ones. This is only 10 minutes we did that.
How about it?
Some of our good ones go for a while.
Here's what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna talk about. We're not gonna do the year as a whole because I feel like we do a pretty good job of. I don't think there's any secrets. They got 62 wins. They're 8.5 games up in the division. I mean, all is right. Most is right. Most was right. I don't think there's much we can complain about right now, outside of a couple of weird injuries and weird weekends like this one. So we're going to talk about this past week, Dodgers A's. We're going to talk about the draft and who they took with their first pick. And then we're going to just kind of look at the deadline and really talk about the what could be's. Not going to make predictions. It's a weird year for predictions because there's really only one need. You could argue 1.5 with the bullpen. I know people are up in arms about the bullpen right now. I'm not one of them. I just think some guys need rest. But 1.5, I think it's nice to have another arm. So we're going to talk about all those things. We're going to start with the week. I think when we look at the Dodger series coming out of it, the thought was at the beginning of the week, it was let's go 4-2.
Right. Win both series, 2-1, 2-1, get into the All-Star break.
Or if you lose the Dodgers twice and then you would beat the A's twice, everybody's fine.
Right.
This wasn't on my bingo card. After the Phillies swept the Dodgers in the way that they did, 2 dominant wins and a really close win, but a hard-fought win, one that took a lot of gall and good managing from top. 3-0 was immediately 5-1.
Yeah.
5-1. They're going to win the first game and sleepwalk in another game. Well, Regz, it's not quite the way that it worked out. And I want to start just with the Dodger series. I want to tip my cap to them as a group. They played some of the best baseball that I've seen them play. The pitching was fantastic. To hold Ohtani and Freeman to like 5 for 26 through the series.
Yeah. To hold Freeman under anything but 700 for this series is a miracle.
Did I see that Ohtani had his first hit against us in this series? I mean, I know we didn't see him a whole lot, but like, I think he was like,
it can't be his first hit. I went to an Angels game and he got a hit.
Did he?
Yeah. Okay. I don't think he's hit a home run against us is the thing that he hasn't done.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. I'm almost positive I've seen him have a hit against us with the Angels.
But he was
still
so frustrated. And I want to say that this all started with the Zach Wheeler, I'm going to blow 3 fastballs right by you. And that set a tone for the series.
Yeah.
Wheeler threw, and I mean, dude, there was some juice on it.
Yeah.
Would I text you 98, 97, 98, 98, Wheeler won it.
We haven't seen him touch 98 a lot this season.
No, he was juiced.
He was jacked up for that one.
They were all jacked up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they admitted that. They were all jacked up for that series. I need to say again, Trey Turner, good Lord.
Yeah.
I hope he gets enough at bats to qualify for MVP. I know that Ohtani's probably winning that award, but I would love to see Bryson Trey right behind him.
Yeah. Ohtani obviously is going to need to cool off significantly in order to like lose it.
Yeah. It's his to lose.
Yeah, at this point, for sure.
The other thing that to highlight from that series was the bullpen. The bullpen was tremendous. Strami came out and had some huge outs in that series, which builds back the confidence in him. I know people were wavering a little bit. Totally fine. Hoff was dominant in every inning he had. Bullpen was definitely used up. I think, they wanted that series. That series matters much more to them than the A series because beating the Dodgers head to head is so important.
Yeah.
All they need to do when they go to LA is win one game.
Yeah.
And that is enormous for playoff implications.
Yeah.
So Topper wanted those games. He was going to empty the bullets in those games. I don't have much else to say there. I think, everything that there is to say is, the offense showed out. I know that the Dodgers are a little beat up right now. I know Betts is down. Their pitching is, but I also feel like we say this every year with the Dodgers. They're always hurt. Guys are hurt for them.
Yeah,
So
look, is it
I
their
don't know.
best pitching they could have put out there? No.
No.
Do they still have a top 5 of the lineup that's as scary as any top 5 in the entire baseball, in the entire MLB? Yes. Like the fact that you hold, like you said, Shohei and Freeman and Smith to like a sub 200, what was like almost batting average or like something like that.
Yeah, it felt like Smith got on a lot though.
He did. I think out of all those three, Smith probably did the best. Freeman was like a nothing, which is the most shocking thing I think I've ever seen from Hall of Fame Phillies killer Freddie Freeman.
Yeah. And both of those separately too. Regz is talking, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Phillies killer. He's also a Hall of Famer.
I just mean if you were to make an all-time list of Phillies killers, Freddie Freeman is like at the top of it.
You could do position by. We could do that position by. That's probably a great episode, by the way.
Freddie Freeman and Josh Bell are right up there.
Yeah, Josh Bell's your DH.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman's your first baseman. Josh Bell's your DH for sure.
Chipper Jones.
Yep.
I mean, that's an
episode when we've got nothing else to talk about. But
that's an episode. We got an episode.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think they knew what that series meant. And to get a sweep against the Dodgers is no easy feat. I would love to know how many times they've actually been swept this season. It can't be that many. It just can't be. They're still a very good team. Are there a lot of injuries? Absolutely. You can't deny the fact that their staff is like very injured, but again, they don't get swept that often, even with that being the fact for the past little while.
They sure don't.
And then we got
and then we got to the 8th. And look, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be honest with all of you, and I think it's only fair that I am.
We've never been anything but honest with the people.
I don't think it's any secret. I've been the voice of reason all year with this team. I feel as though I've been very positive and very fair. And I want to say that I'm in a much better place now than I was earlier texting Regz.
Which is a huge bummer.
I know. Regz really wanted you all to feel the wrath.
I should have had you jump on and just record something for 10 minutes. Like just for fun.
Here's what I want to say. In no way, shape, or form am I mad at this team for what happened this week? I'm not mad. And I'm not even going to do the whole cliche. I'm just disappointed. I'm more surprised than anything. Regz put it really well today on our text chain when he said there haven't been many series they haven't. And I think Friday night was a lot of bad luck.
Friday night, like we talked about, was one of the weirdest games.
Such an annoying game.
I was there. It was one of the weirdest games you've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very annoying. It was very, very annoying.
Just weird.
The double play that Bohm hit into, the double play that Harp hit into, the ball Castellanos hit to the wall, that would have been a 3-run home run. None of that translating to runs, but the A's hitting 4 consecutive seeing eye singles.
Right. The out from that Bohm should have taken from Turner. Then Ranger strikes out the next guy on 3-2, and it's called a ball 4. That leads to, like you said, the 4 singles in a row of just up the middle, right side, left side. It's just like, Jesus.
It was just a very weird.
And then Harp is like a 10 pitch at bat, and that's what happens.
Yeah. So then they win yesterday, and I'm feeling good. But knowing it was a bullpen game today concerned me, and that Mercado is the guy who had to take down a bulk of the innings.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel good. I want to go back to yesterday's game here. But that didn't feel as good. I don't think Michael Mercado is a major league starter.
Yeah. He's not an innings
More
eater.
than
Yeah.
he's not an innings guy. They need to focus on making him a reliever.
Yeah.
Give him 2 pitches he can throw for strikes. Ryan Madsen him.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. It reminds me a lot of Ryan Madsen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, because if you can figure out a way to harness the fastball control
Yeah, right.
and give him one other pitch, he's Ryan Kirkring.
Yeah.
Ryan Kirkring. That's what he is. So I was a little annoyed that Topper, I know why he did it, but let him face Brent Rooker a second time.
Well, yeah. I mean, at that point,
I know why he did
he's just dying for innings.
Yeah, I know why he did it. And I'm more so frustrated that they let a 30-win team
Oh, yeah.
come in
Yeah.
and take 2 of 3. The Phillies looked like they were just like, get us to the All-Star break. Get us to the All-Star break.
Like I said, I think there haven't been a lot of series that they just have no-showed for. And someone put it pretty well that you lost 2 of 3 with 2 games being started by the Iron Pigs.
In the Iron Pigs, right.
In Major League Baseball. Like, despite
and
what
Ranger Suarez hurt.
Despite what you think about the A's, they're still professional baseball
leaguers.
players.
Yeah,
They would crush every AAA team you ever put against them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and apparently they just have a knack for scoring 19 runs every so often against very good teams.
3
Like they put
times
up
this
19 against the Orioles. It's a shock to see it at home. I think that adds to this. I think the fact that it's at home makes a difference. If we have had to go out to LA and then Oakland, you'd be like, all right, they're on the second leg of a West Coast trip right before the All-Star break. Something weird was going to happen. And, it is what it is. I think just how good they've been at home. I think they've lost like 7 games at home all year. And to lose 2 of 3 like that to the A's, like you said, it's just shocking and disappointing, and it really is just like the guys on offense just didn't show up for 2 games. Yeah. They just were coasting. They just were like, just get me to the All-Star break.
This is, I think, the one piece that bothered me today, maybe not as much now. This is the taste in our mouths going into the All-Star.
Oh, yeah.
15-run loss.
That's what I mean. I think I tweeted this. I was like, the problem with this is that this is what's going to be talked about more than the Dodgers series now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is because then we have to go to Pittsburgh and play a team that's been playing really well in the Pirates.
And you're probably getting their 3 dudes.
Right. Which there is plenty of historical evidence that we go to Pittsburgh and lose to much worse Pittsburgh Pirates teams than this.
Yeah.
I will be at the game on Saturday. So
Oh, me too.
In Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I'm going Friday and Saturday.
We will be there at the same time.
We will. I'll be there with Crawford.
All right. We're meeting up for dinner or something.
We are. We're going to be there. Who are you going with?
The family. We're just making a little trip out of it. We've never seen Three Rivers, so
PNC.
Yes, excuse me.
Your point
excuse
remains.
me.
But we I originally got him a golf trip, but he had shoulder surgery. Can't golf. So we decided to do 2 days in Pittsburgh to see the Phillies and the Pirates.
We're going up Friday night.
So are we. We're gonna be at the game on Friday.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll be at the Saturday game, but
all right.
I
mean, we'd meet if you want to meet us for breakfast.
Let's get some lunch before the game, and then we'll get some dinner at the game.
Yeah, some beers. I love it.
Please.
What a great moment this is.
Fantastic.
You're all experiencing this live. Let's quickly, before we jump off of what happened last year. At the end of the day, they went 4-2. They're still 8.5 games up.
Yes. They still have the best record in baseball.
Sure do. So, and they hold like 6 games on the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Which is also important. I just, as much and as disappointing as the A's series was, Tyler Phillips lived the dream of every Philly jersey kid. I mean, what a
Listen,
cool moment.
I played Bishop Eustace in high school.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. They were
That's
one
awesome.
of the like prep teams in our area that we would play for everything. Basketball, baseball, soccer. Played them
That's awesome.
all the time.
That's so cool.
Yep, just the town over from us.
What a neat moment for him. The standing O. I wanted him to get through 7.
I know.
But of course he had to face Brent Rooker.
Yeah, right.
So
Superman
that was,
Brent Rooker.
that was sort of the end of it. But really great job from him yesterday, and he definitely earned himself a start in Pittsburgh.
It's just like it's the dream. It's what all us guys who love baseball and love any team, right? It doesn't matter where you are. If you grew up a Cubs fan or an Astros fan or a Oakland A's fan, it doesn't matter. If you love baseball, your dream is to start, run out on the field for your hometown team and do that. And he literally lived the baseball dream.
Yeah.
And it's wild.
I think one of the things I said this, and then Jack Fritz tweeted it. It was so funny because I said it I don't know if I said it to you. I said it in another text chain. He does remind me look-wise. I don't know as much stuff-wise, but he reminds me a little bit of Vance Worley.
Yeah.
And but the sweeper.
Yeah.
I mean, the fastball is pretty good. It's 95, 96. But the sweeper it's got bite. So he's definitely earned himself another start. Eventually, if Walker comes back and everything goes well with Ranger, God willing, and Zach, he'll probably move to that bullpen spot that Mercado holds.
Yeah, he's the innings eater. Yeah.
Yeah. He'll be the extra
look,
guy.
how can you not love a guy who just turns into a maniac on the mound?
It's like watching Strom, but more intense.
Yeah, oh yeah. Just I love it. I love that he's just he's like, look, I step on the mound and it's a different guy. Did
you see him cursing at Blade?
Yes.
Blade called time in the first inning, and he's cursing into his glove. He's like, "Get back in the box, mother effer."
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, "Geez."
Doing the same thing, coming off the field against the Atlanta Braves. It's
gosh,
I love it.
Yeah, he definitely goes into another place.
Before let's make this the last point of the week, and then we can jump to the rest of the stuff. But
draft.
Do you? And look, this team has shown no evidence of this happening, but it's going to be a conversation. Obviously, depending on how the Pittsburgh series goes, but do you think this team takes this as a this is what happens if we take our foot off the gas, and so kind of resets a little bit, or do you think this can? And I'm not saying this is the case, and I'm not saying I believe this, but it's going to be something that's talked about for the next week. Yeah. Do you think this translates into the start of the first half of the season that we're the best team in baseball and this is how we can just take teams that we think we can beat? Because that's not been the approach of this team this entire season.
No, I don't anticipate them letting this bother them or affect them. They're still a lunch pail group who knows what they need to do to win baseball games, to be effective, to be successful. I don't know that they needed a kick in the ass. They got one, for sure. But I don't know that they needed it. I just think, I've said it on the show before, and it's so true. Most teams in a baseball season win 60 and lose 60. It's what happens in the other 40 that matter. This team is 63, has 60. They are 63 and 33. They're fine. They're about to get into a tougher part of the schedule. Don't get me wrong. I mean, 3 with Pittsburgh on the road, 3 with Minnesota on the road to start the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Not easy.
Yeah.
Not especially when you know who you're facing in Pittsburgh. You're getting Jones and Skeens at some point next weekend.
Yeah.
It's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
That being said, I do think that, and they usually come out slow after the break. So we anticipated a slow start at the start of the year. We got the opposite. We'll see what they do. I'm not worried about that though. I'm not worried about this putting them off.
Okay.
Think they'll come out of break just fine.
Yeah.
All right, the draft. The Phillies are actually gearing up to make their second pick. We are on pick 58.
Yeah, it's getting there, right?
Pick 58. Tampa Bay's on the clock. The Phillies pick at 63. Well, let's quickly talk about the dude that they took at 27 tonight. So, interestingly enough, the Phillies, for those that don't know, took outfielder Dante Nori, who is from Northville, Michigan. Just would like to say, did a training in Northville, Michigan last August. So I feel like Dante and I are friends. Here's the scouting report from MLB.com. I am gonna read a bulk of it here because I think it's important for us to know this. Then we'll have the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Teams that weigh age heavily won't be interested in Nori, who will turn 23 months after the draft and is easily the oldest high school player in the pipeline rankings. There are also evaluators who believe his all-around tools are comparable to Alec Thomas's at the same stage and think he's better bet to hit than fellow Michigan prepster Caleb Bonemer. His grandfather, Fred Nori, recruited Kyle Schwarber to Indiana as an assistant coach, and his father, Micah, is an NBA assistant coach currently with the Timberwolves. Part of a state Division I championship team this spring, Nori has a mature approach at the plate, controlling the strike zone and looking to make consistent contact to all fields. He has a quick, direct, left-handed swing and will shorten his stroke with 2 strikes. While he's strong and shows average power during BP, he focuses on producing line drives rather than launching balls during games. Nori posts top-of-the-scale 60-yard dash times and is well above average runner who's aggressive. He's a Mississippi State commit, chases down balls from gap to gap, has a no-doubt center fielder, and his solid arm, Regz and I would beg to differ, strength is another asset. He's physically maxed out and offers no projection, but he has plenty of talent and scouts love his makeup as well. Hit tool rated at 55. This is on the 20 to 80. Hit tool 55, power tool 45, run tool 60, arm tool 55, field tool 60, overall 50. Phillies don't care about age, Regz. They proved that last year with.
Yeah.
It feels like we drafted Crawford again. This feels very much like Crawford. I don't know. We talked about before. It's under slot, so 63 is going to mean something. This was a pick for 63.
Yeah.
Initial reactions, Regz. I'm sort of meh.
It's just it's like we talked about before, and I just want to make the point again. The baseball draft is very weird with how the money works.
Yeah.
It's not like the NBA draft and the NFL draft. Like in the NFL draft, you and I sat right where I am right now, literally side by side, and watched those quarterbacks be taken before the Eagles draft, and we're like, oh my God, we're gonna get one of the cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Like in that draft, when teams make decisions, other people fall, and your eyes light up. Like the talent that is falling to us is just, it's crazy. And that's what happened with the Eagles. It's not like, it's just not that way in the MLB draft. And it's very different from how we as sports fans typically go into these drafts. It's just very different. It's like you said, this guy, and by all accounts, was just an underslot pick, which means they won't have to pay him as much as a typical 27th pick. And what Azzy was saying is that they can now use that bonus money on their 63rd pick to possibly draft someone very much higher or with more talent at this pick than would usually be taken at this time.
Yeah.
So it's just a very weird way to think about the draft. And it's almost, I don't know if this will be the case depending on who they take, but it's almost like you would flop these picks. And like, there's not a lot of drafts where you think about that, or there's just in no other sport would you think I'm going to like the lower draft pick is now better than the higher draft pick. It just doesn't happen.
More than likely, Regz did a great job explaining this. Great job. More than likely, what's going to happen at 63 is they're taking a kid who has a commit, like a college commit.
Mm-hmm.
And most teams view them as unsignable. Signability is such a big deal in Major League Baseball draft.
Yeah.
And what's likely is there's somebody who has a commitment that most teams have written off. And the Phillies, who probably, they don't have as much slot money as some other teams. Rays do. There are other teams with the Rays. Marlins they have a lot of money under slot. But the Phillies don't. So for them to take a certain player that might have more talent that other teams are like, oh no, we're not going to get. They had to,
because we can't convince him to come with the money we have. Like, that's why.
Right.
We can't convince him to say no to his college commitment. Right. Because we don't have the money in the bonus pool at this slot of the draft to persuade him to forgo his college.
Yeah. And so there's that, but there was also like the whole idea of Crawford with the trade deadline coming up could go.
And you're kind of like replacing that with this guy.
And you're replacing that type of player with him. And it could be a combination of both. It could be nothing and still here.
Yeah.
After July ends. Like, all of that is possible. And I'm not willing to stake my name on any of that. It's weird to take the same type of player. I
agree with you completely. And I think the difference now is that over let's say the past 5 years, I think the Phillies draft and development department has earned our trust.
Yeah.
And it's very different from like the past decade, right? Let's say the past, like after those 5 years, the 7 years before that. I don't think we thought the Phillies could do anything positive in that department.
No. And they've taken all prep guys in the first round.
There's a very clear strategy, and they've shown the ability to identify these guys correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think
they're on the clock right now, by the way.
Beautiful. I think you just have to take it in the context of like in a I'm putting air quotes for the folks that, you know, are watching us on YouTube. And if you're not watching on YouTube, how dare you go click subscribe and watch us.
Do it now.
You can see our beautiful faces. But it's just weird to think of the first round pick as like really the second round pick. And now the second round pick, they're paying more to like, because he probably was a first round pick because of what you said. People just didn't think he was available because of what it would take to get him to like decommit from college or whatever was happening.
Yeah. So it's a run of college players right now. Yep. They took Griffin Burkholder from Freedom High School in Virginia. I don't know a ton about him. I've just pulled him up right now. He is he's an outfielder. Here's what I got. I'm going to read it. You okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
Over the past few years, the Mid-Atlantic states have produced some high-quality high school bats that have gone in the first couple of rounds. In 2021, Jackson was a Maryland, while James Triantos went in second for Virginia. Last year, Bryce Eldridge went in the first round. This is MLB.com. While Johnny Mello went number 29. This year, the top prep hitter from the region is a speedy outfielder who seemed to have an spring. Burkholder already looks like he belongs with an athlete. That is what they look like, quote unquote. And he has some tools to match. The right-handed hitter was one of the best performers at last summer's East Coast Pro Showcase and has a chance to have a real impact at the. He has plus raw power and can get to it in games at times, though he doesn't always square the ball up. relying on strength at times more than finding the barrel. When he is on time, he can drive the ball. The West Virginia recruit's standout tool is well above average speed. His 70 grade wheel help him
Jesus.
on the base paths and in center field, where he has every chance to stick with an average arm. He missed a little time with a hamstring injury this spring, but when he's healthy, he looks like he could be a plus defender up the middle. Speed is key. If he slows down, that could make him more of a fourth outfielder type. His tools: 50 hit, 50 power, 70 run, 50 arm, 55 field, 50 overall. He does look the part. 6'1", 195 is Nate.
6 what?
6'2", 195.
I mean, Fritz tweeted, and there it is. Awesome.
Yeah, I remember Fritz talking about it. Okay. I'm sure we'll get a reaction from him. I'm gonna have to read a little bit more, but I like the size. And I like that he's a plus speed guy who has power potential.
Yeah, right.
Because if you can tap into that power, if the Phillies organization finds a way to tap into that power, and that power tool turns into a 60, now you got a 60 power, 70 speed.
Yeah.
Playing center
So
field.
Alex Carr said he has a really interesting makeup, lots of raw power to tap into on top of, you guessed it, plus to plus speed.
They love speed.
Definitely a unique makeup here and probably an overslot pick.
Yeah. Yeah. West Virginia commit though. Not like
like Vanderbilt or Tennessee or Alabama, OSU, like none of the big boys.
Mississippi State.
Yeah, right.
Like A&M. It's none of those places.
Yeah.
Super interesting. But I gotta say, I like the pick from the lens of you've got a 70 speed guy with what's being described as raw power. You tap into the power, like I said, you've got yourself a real threat playing center field in about 4 or 5 years. So, all right. And again, like you said, you got to trust what they've done.
Or
basically since Stop Bone.
Or if, like you said, you just put him in a corner and like he's an elite corner outfielder.
Yeah.
With the speed and with the ability to just run everything down. Because if you got, like you said, a guy like Crawford, Rojas, this other guy who are, center fielders. But if this guy can turn the power into a thing, he turns into, right, an elite corner outfielder.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. This is good stuff. I'm a fan of what I'm seeing.
And I think, like you said, we have to trust what's going on.
Griffin Burkholder is a super strong prep kid that had some helium of being a late first round pick. Love this pick. Really interesting makeup, lots of raw power. You guessed it. Yep. Unique makeup, probably over slot. It's the one you just read. Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of good things.
Yeah. I'm looking at Winkleman because he's always like the detractor.
Yeah. He's like the guy who's something bad.
Yeah.
What does he say?
He's an old for the class, but not old high school outfielder. Seems to have power, projection, and speed. But questions about the swing for now could be a good defensive center fielder. Weird draft. I just follow him as the contrarian. It's just fun to like follow him as
he's always the guy that like
poo-poos everything.
Literally everything. Yeah. I don't know that I've ever seen the guy happy.
He was happy when Witt got cut.
Well,
because he called it 9 months ago.
He was a Witt detractor for 9 months. Yeah. So I don't take too much stock just because he's always. I mean, I take stock because he's smart. But anywho, okay. Is all the draft? Is everything tonight? Do you know?
I don't know.
I'm curious because I didn't see a schedule for it. And time. Round 1, round 2, then competitive round. Monday, July 15th, 2 p.m. rounds 3 through 10.
Okay.
So tomorrow's starting at 2.
Yeah, they just fly through it at that point.
Yeah, I'm in a training, so I'll just have it up on my bigger screen and follow it on there. And obviously text you the entire time. All right, so let's jump into the deadline.
All right.
Now, Regz and I, in the past, if you've watched us, followed us, done any of that stuff, you know that I usually come with mock trades of what like the deadline would look like. Couple reasons we didn't do that this year. One, it's a weird year in terms of there's really only one major need and a half of a need. And then the website that we use is now like asked you to pay a fee to use their website to make like mock drafts, and it's not even that great of a website. So, or mock trades, sorry. So if you want us to go back to using that, then follow us, share it.
Click
So we can
subscribe.
get paid to do this. Yeah.
If you know people who, are in sponsor departments at companies, we'd be happy to sponsor anything.
Yeah. To do reads. I'm a great reader. You just heard me read 2 draft profiles. So we're basically going to talk about, all right, here's the need. Here are the players of those needs on different levels.
Yeah.
And would you do it?
And what would it
Why?
take? Like, what would
And
it
what's
take?
it going to take?
Yeah.
Right. So let's start with the main need. Because again, there's a need and a half. The main need is some form of an outfielder.
Yes.
Whether that be an everyday center fielder, a platoon mate for Marshy, an everyday or some sort of outfielder is the main need. That is clear. Casty has picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
He's been better. I'll pull up the stats. He's been a lot better.
He's been better until like these past two series, but yes. The Dodgers, he was fine.
I'm going to say he's been a lot better. And yes. Center field, still a slight issue. Marsh can't play against lefties. He's like 7 for 70 this year against lefties.
Yeah.
It's not been good. So I know they're working with him, but in the meantime, they've got to have, and maybe that guy's Weston Wilson, and that's what they have him up here to figure out. Maybe he can be that guy. But we don't have a ton of time to figure that out, and there are players on the block that could be that guy.
Yes.
So let's sort of make a little list of the players that could be beneficial for them and talk about where and how. And I'm going to start by mentioning 2 guys that I don't really think we need to have further conversation on, who have been mentioned in ties to the first being Jazz Chisholm. He was basically outed today as the Phillies are not interested.
Thank God.
Thank goodness that they're not. I don't like the attitude. I don't like the makeup.
I
believe
didn't believe him from the start.
He's that good.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that great. Second guy, Cody Bellinger, who
just got hurt.
He got hurt and anyway.
Yeah, another lefty isn't what we're looking for.
No. So here's the only center fielder then left standing is Luis Robert. I gotta tell you, I'm still obsessed with him. We'll talk about him here in a moment. There's probably center fielders that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Because Dave Dombrowski does this thing where the Phillies are tied to like 8 different guys. Then he trades for the guy that
no one's, right.
He did it with Marshy. He did it with Syndergaard. He did it with, what's his name last year? Lorenzen.
Yeah.
It's just what Sosa, like, that's the move that I anticipate. But here are some other names. These guys would all sort of fit into the Marsh platoon idea. Brian De La Cruz, outfielder for the Marlins. Lane Thomas, outfielder for the Nationals.
Gimme.
Brenton Doyle, outfielder for the Rockies.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy who I don't think is a platoon guy, but he's also not an outfielder. Brent Rooker, who just went Hank Aaron on the
Not an outfielder. He's a DH.
Correct. He's played, for those that were tweeting like crazy today, don't let Brent Rooker leave Philly.
Yeah, right.
You're essentially saying that you just want Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, right.
He's played 9 games in left this year. And if you can't crack left field for the A's, the guy can hit.
Yeah.
There's
no doubt about it.
But unless the Phillies are like, fine, we'll just let him stand in left field, then your platoon in center is Brandon Marsh and Rojas. And I guess if you're okay with that, fine.
Or you're just paying way too much to platoon him in left with Marsh.
He's also 29 years old.
Yeah.
And he's having his first huge year now. Look, the numbers are great.
Yeah.
Like 290, 365 OPP, 550 slugging, 21 bombs, and over 60 ribbies now. He would fit really pretty behind Bryce. It's a big swing.
Yeah.
But unless the Phillies have some sort of intel that we don't, and he can stand in left field, I don't know that I really want him. So that's where I'm at with Brent Rooker. I do think because he's got 5 years of pretty much controllability, he's going to cost you a bit.
Yeah.
It's not going to be even at 29. It's not going to be an easy deal to make. I mean, it's at least going to be like a Crawford, Kaba type of situation. Maybe Tate.
Yeah. I think let's get into Robert and what we think it would take, and are you willing to do it?
So Luis Robert is an interesting situation. He's got, I think, 2 full years after this year left on his deal, or an arbitration. Here, let me give you his slash right now. And he was hurt, so you have to keep that in mind. 222, 293 OBP, 481 slugging. So you're essentially looking at like a 780 OPS, which is fine. The slugging carries the most of that. He's not going to walk a ton. 11 home runs. Dude is picking it up a little bit now. He's picking it up a little bit. I'd have to look at his numbers since coming back from the IL, but I'm pretty sure that's when he jumped it. The potential's enormous. I've seen a lot where people have said it's going to be Miller or Painter that have to go. And Regz, if that's the case, I'm hanging up the phone.
Oh yeah.
That's not, to me, first of all, that's not the type of move that's won World Series the last few. I would love the player and I would love the potential. I think, again, he's the type of guy that you slot in behind Bryce or behind Bohm and things look really good.
Oh, yeah.
To me, though, this is where I'm talking about like a Crawford. This is where I'm talking about a Kaba. And I love Starling. I don't want to give him up. But with Turner floating and Miller floating, you got some depth there. I do think Abel would be involved in that, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I still think Abel's going to be fine. I think Abel's the product of pitching at AAA at a young age, and he's learning.
Yeah.
They wanted to challenge him. He's struggling. It doesn't mean that he's
done.
Not ever going to be okay.
Yeah.
Other guys have struggled in AAA and been. I think he's going to be fine. Is he an ace? No. But he's the type of guy that I would put in a deal like this. So that's what I think a Luis requires. It's going to be an Abel. It's going to be at the very least an Abel, Kaba.
Yeah.
A Crawford. You're not getting him without giving up some really legit frontline talent. I'm not okay with any conversation of Aiden Miller or Andrew Painter. I'm not. I'm not. You could even convince me. You could convince me Tate, who I'm very protective of because he's a catcher with a ton of potential. 17.
Yeah, right.
Good God. Or George Klassen. You could even convince me to trade Klassen, which again, you know how much I love.
So, what about Rojas?
Yeah, For sure. Yep. 100%.
And you hold on to Crawford.
Yeah. 100%. If they'd be willing to take him and he could be like a part of like the front line of that trade because he's got major league experience.
Right.
Sure. You're still going to have to give them Kaba.
No, yeah, of course.
Abel's going in that deal.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, for sure. I think he'd have to go because they're going to need major league.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, he's going to have to just come in and play center field for them.
Sure. So, yeah. But at that point, you'd probably hold on to Pache in case something happened. It would hurt. I really love Johan Rojas, but Luis Robert is a tremendous.
He's a very good center fielder.
Defensive center fielder.
I think that's what people don't understand is that.
Oh, he's so good out there.
Yeah.
So now is he Rojas good? No,
but
he's better than Marsh.
Right.
He's probably a little lesser than Christian Pache.
Yeah, but he can hit.
So there's a lot of power there, and I do think again this is one of those things where you look at Kevin Long and say, "Can you unlock?"
Right.
Do you see a place where this can be unlocked?
Yeah.
He is clearly my number one.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could have, and then you just hope Weston Wilson can hit left. Like, he's my number one.
Yeah.
And even if he can't hit lefties, Wilson and Marsh are hitting ninth. And
Right.
like, when you have your whole lineup, Marsh and Wilson are hitting ninth.
Yeah.
You're gonna need another big righty to neutralize a team like the Braves in the playoffs, who have a ton of lefties.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Sale, Max Reed, and the other dude who they brought over that I'm drawing a blank on, who's pitching really well for them, are all lefties. That's essentially who you're facing in the postseason.
Yeah.
If you play the Braves, 3 lefties. You've got to have another righty behind Bryce Harper. It can't be Bohm Stott.
Yeah.
Can't be. So he is still my number one. And I know that the big names haven't won the world, those types of. I know that. But we also haven't gotten big names the last 2 years, and we haven't won the World Series. So Luis Robert, to me, is the guy. But I'm not giving up Aiden Miller and Andrew Painter.
Not at all.
And no team is giving up 1 or 2 on the prospect list for that. They're not. So the White Sox might end up holding on to. Let's talk about some of the lesser guys on my list here. Brian De La Cruz, Bretton Doyle. Brian De La Cruz is a platoon partner. 245, 293, 416 overall this year, 16 home runs, 44 RBIs. The splits aren't crazy. It's weird. It doesn't look like they've played a lot of lefties. His numbers are a little less. Oh, you haven't really played a lot of lefty. I don't know. I don't know that I'm in love with the guy.
Yeah.
I've just seen it mentioned here and there, so I wanted to just bring him up as like, oh, he's potentially somebody that they could bring in. Bretton Doyle, outfielder for the Rockies. He's a center fielder, Regz, but he does interest me, and I'm gonna tell you why. A lot of people look at the heavy splits home and away with Rockies. He's a guy who has some really heavy splits. He's much better at course. 346, 407, 588, 217, 289, 372.
Oh boy. Jeez.
On the road. 7 home runs at Coors, 8 on the road. Against lefties and against righties, interesting splits. He is 289 against lefties, 359, 470 for an 829 OPS, 272, 338, 472 against righties for an 810 OPS. So they're not
they're not that crazy,
The only thing that I look at is, wow, he stinks on the road. He's not great on the road. But again, the Phillies probably have more information. than we do. Also, they do play at some pretty big ballparks on the road, not hitter-friendly parks.
Yeah.
You think about like
San
the West Coast,
Francisco.
San Francisco, LA,
Yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Like, you don't play at a lot of hitter-friendly parks. So
Arizona is a death trap.
yeah, I don't know what he did when we played. I'd love to know the difference. But just quick on Brenton Doyle, neither of those guys are going to cost you a lot.
Yeah.
You're not paying a whole lot for either of those guys. Control might be the only thing. Doyle's only 26. And he's only in his second full season. So he's still pre-arbitration.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to have to buy a little bit back. So you're looking at a little bit better of a prospect pool. Might be a Crawford Abel, Caba Abel. Rojas would probably go in that deal because he's likely playing center field.
Right.
Every day. It'd be nice to have a young center fielder come in. I don't know what his defense is like either. I have no idea. No. All right, last guy and for the outfield, and he is a fixated guy. He was a fixated guy last. And I wasn't in on him before. I've changed my mind.
I have been on this train. Welcome, my friends.
So why don't you talk to me about Lane Thomas a little bit? What do you see him? Is this so two things that I look at here. He's either the Marsh platoon or he's the everyday left fielder, and Marsh and Rojas are now platoon.
He's the Marsh platoon.
Okay.
He is
that's how you see him.
Turning left field into the best version of left field,
which we've talked about.
Every game that we can possibly have.
Yeah, which we've talked about.
I think he plays plays a fine enough outfield, and he's got a great arm.
Yeah.
That Marsh can play center field and he can play left field. Like if you need to switch defenses around or if you need to pinch hit Marsh for Rojas or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to move. I just don't want to move Marsh to center field. I don't want to do it. I want to keep Rojas's defensive tool there.
Yeah.
Because I think it's worth it. And I just think he hits lefties. He's on the young side. And I just think that dude can come in here and he's ready to, he's just ready to go. He's ready to play. And I don't know. I've loved him since last year. I wanted him.
Yeah. So Lane Thomas is 28. He's from Knoxville. Love that. He has 1 year of control. So you still have him next year, and he and Marsh are now the best left fielder in baseball, essentially. I look at them, at least definitely in the East right now. They instantly become a very dynamic platoon. And I agree. I want to say I agree with you that he becomes the left fielder against left-handed pitching. Here are his splits this year. Lefty, righty. Let me start with righty. He's hitting .211 against righties with a .268 on base percentage and a .342 slugging percentage for a .610 OPS. That's in 190 at-bats against right-handed pitching. In 80 at-bats against left-handed pitching. 350 batting average. 430 on base percentage. 550 slugging percentage for a 980 OPS. He only has 8 home runs, 3 against lefties, 5 against right. This to me would be the ideal situation if he's Rob. Lane Thomas gives you another year of the platoon. I think, slots really nicely into the bottom of the Phillies order against left-handed pitching.
Mm-hmm.
He lengthens the lineup. And, I mean, like you said, he kills lefties.
Yes.
I'm in on that if that's the route they decide to
And
go.
he's a good fielder.
Yeah, especially left field.
With a cannon.
Especially left field. It's
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's any question that he fits what they're trying to do. If now look, the question is going to become: could they do both, Robert and him? Could they? Sure. Will they? Doubt it.
I think if you go the Lane Thomas route, you're getting a bullpen arm.
I think you're getting a bullpen arm either way.
Okay.
But I agree with you that it's likely. I think if you get Robert, the bullpen arm is a little less.
Yes.
If you get Thomas, the bullpen arm is.
Yeah.
I think bullpen's happening no matter what.
Yeah. I just
really
happen to be in the camp of get me a platoon guy and give me that plus bullpen arm.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So and I'm good with that too. I'm sort of in the geez, I'm looking at one of the Nationals bullpen numbers right now, and I'm like, good Lord, get me him. Holy crap. So Kyle Finnegan, let's jump into the bullpen here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to ask at the end, what's your ideal trade deadline alpha we talked about? Kyle Finnegan.
Yeah.
Guy pitches almost like every day, it feels like.
Yeah.
At least when we play the Nationals. 40 and a third innings this year. 42 games, I believe, is what I saw. A 2.45 ERA. A 190 average against him this year. 42 strikeouts in 42 innings, I believe it was. 42 strikeouts in 40 and a third innings. Goodness. 25 saves. Yes, please. In 29 opportunities. 25 saves and 29 opportunities. Yeah, I really like Finnegan. I've always liked him.
Yeah.
Again, not a guy that I know the contract situation of. I look and see
He's got
32.
some, but like of all the Nationals relievers, when that guy comes in, you're like, crap.
Oh yeah, no, he's
He's got stuff.
He is. It looks like locked down. No, of course, because this website also has gone to pay. What is going on with all these places?
I don't know, man.
I'm not a fan of what they're doing to me now because I'm not here to pay for your stupid site.
Yeah, right.
Just give me the information.
Just give me the stuff, man.
I just want the information. I don't want any of this. I just want to know when his arbitrations. Yeah, it's not going to tell us. Anyway, he's 32. I can't imagine that he has much more time in arbitration.
He's 32. Interesting.
Yeah. It's baseball prospectus card here. So he's one. They also have Hunter, who interests me. He's a guy who, to me, would be more of the we don't want a closer.
Yeah.
We just want another arm. Numbers are not as impressive. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not the same as what we just talked about with Kyle Finnegan. He has a 4.20 ERA in 43 games, 45 innings. Opponent batting average is 250, 50 strikeouts in that time. So the numbers aren't quite the same.
Yeah.
But he's the type of guy who's going to be and just throws hard and adds to your bullpen. And then there's Tanner Scott. And look, there are some other arms that we're probably not even thinking that are out there. And Tanner Scott is a guy we've talked about on the show. This year, he's 6-5 with a 1.3 ERA. In 39 innings, 43 strikeouts. I mean, a 9.9 strikeout per 9 is pretty legit. I can get behind that. 13 saves for a pretty bad team. And he's a free agent after.
Yeah.
Do they need another lefty? I don't know. I mean, Soto, Strom,
Soto, who has
Alvarado,
been
Scott,
pitching very well.
and Alvarado, who has not been.
Needed a break. Needed a
Yeah.
little break.
Yeah. And then there's the guy who everybody, again, our obsession with the A's is Mason Miller.
Yeah.
Look, I love the kid, but
No.
you want to talk about paying an arm and a leg?
Yeah. That's Painter.
Yeah. Guys like Finnegan, Harvey, and Scott aren't going to cost you a ton.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let me ask you. If you had your choice, your ideal, knowing that this is pretty much going to be it. They might play in the starter pond for depth.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see him doing that. But let's assume that come August 1st, they have two new players. One's an outfielder, one's a reliever. Knowing the restrictions, that you're not coming out of this with Luis Robert and Mason Miller.
Yeah.
Right? Who are you hoping to come out of it with?
If I had my druthers, it's Lane Thomas and Helsley from the Cardinals.
Ooh, we didn't even talk about him.
The
Cardinals are in it. They're in it.
Listen, I get it for now, but like, listen, I think you throw in Crawford and Abel, and like you said, maybe somebody else. Maybe they're willing to listen. That's my ideal. I think Finnegan's a close second, or is probably second after that. I really wanted the Cardinals to be bad, so they'd be selling. Like, really, I wanted them to be bad, so they'd be selling.
Yeah.
But if you're asking me how I want this to go, I want Lane Thomas and I want Ryan Helsley.
Okay. All right. I did not see that coming.
And I'm willing to give up not Painter or Miller, obviously, but like whoever else they got to give up for Helsley.
Yeah.
That dude at the end of this bullpen, like, is just like, what do you do? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. Okay. I didn't see that coming. Helsley was not on the checklist. All right. So I'll give you mine. And I'll go a little different. I'd be more than okay with yours. I'd be okay with Thomas and Finnegan too.
Yeah.
That's going to cost you. I think if you get both, that's again, you're digging a little deeper, especially in division.
Mm-hmm.
So I will go Robert and Scott.
Yeah. Listen,
and
I'm also not mad about that.
Marsh and Wilson become my left field situation.
Yeah.
But man, I just can't get my mind off of the Robert potential.
I'm with you.
I watched that dude swing.
Yeah.
And I am just like, good Lord, put him behind Bryce Harper now.
Yeah.
And let Alec hit behind him.
Right.
And let's just have fun.
Mm-hmm.
That dude would thrive here.
Yeah. Especially, I don't think we can discount the, like, how much Luis Robert would be locked in on a team like the Phillies as opposed to the White Sox.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a very fair statement. I know people have gotten on him for like effort stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay motivated when you play for one of the worst teams in baseball.
I just look like my wife was just telling me this. You want to know how many fans the White Sox average at home?
I'd guess probably like 4 or 5K.
It's more than that. Shockingly, it's 15,000.
Really?
You want to know what the Phillies average?
I mean, I know it's like high 30s.
40,700.
Oh, it went up.
They are behind the Dodgers by 100 fans.
Yeah, that'll change by the end of the year because they're going to sell out the rest of the way. So they'll keep packing in 43,000 the rest of the way. One of the other things with Robert that just, to put at ease that effort stuff. that's not necessarily been his track record. And I think all it takes is walking into a locker room with Kyle Schwarber,
Yeah.
Bryce Harper, where you're accountable.
The first thing they tell you is, hey, man.
Yeah.
You want to be a part of this, like, for real?
Yeah. If he did that thing, and look, I don't even think this is big. I know people losing their minds on social. The night that he didn't throw home on the walk.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He's not throwing him out. But if that was a big deal, if that's a big deal in the clubhouse, like, dude, you have to at least throw it. I have no doubt someone's walking up to him and saying it. Like, Kyle Schwarber's going to have that conversation.
They're saying it to him in the dugout after the play.
For sure. Brandon Marsh, Kyle Schwarber, someone's saying it to him. But one of the things I love about this team and why I truly believe in them, not just this year, but the last few years, is what you hear about the clubhouse. You hear guys like Whit Merrifield, who have been in a lot of clubhouse, that have said, you walk in, and it doesn't matter who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're treated the same way. Did you see what Bryce did with Tyler Phillips yesterday?
Yeah.
Sent him out there on his own so that he could have the moment. Like, same thing with Schwarber and Mercado. These are two dudes, Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper, who are considered two of the best players, not just in Philly, not just in the NL East, not just in the National League, but in all of baseball. And they treat rookies this way. I have no doubt that whoever comes into Philly comes in and is treated this way. And that's an easy place to play when you're treated with that kind of dignity and respect. So to me, bring him here. I'm good with Lane. I'm fine with that. If the asking price is too high on a Robert, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm good with making yourself a really great left field.
Mm-hmm.
But the tantalizing potential of Luis Robert in this lineup is too much for me to pass up. So that's my guy.
Perfectly fair.
Great show, man.
Love it, buddy. So
we have next week together. We have Thursday together, and then you go on vacation. Is that correct?
We have this. Yeah, we got this week.
Yeah.
And next week, and then yes, I am on vacation. Starting like the 28th.
Oh, okay. So yes. Sorry. So we have the following week and then the 28th. You are in 28th through the beginning of August.
Correct.
So I will be doing a deadline show. Azzy and Regz, more information on that to come. We'll have a guest or two on that show with us. And
if something wild happens, I'm calling in from
for sure. We'll either be reacting or making some final guesses based on what's been happening. This week and next week are probably gonna be more of the same. The Eagles start training camp. Not this week, but the following week. So we'll have some stuff to talk about there. Probably a little bit of stuff this week as we head into training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff. And we'll definitely talk about the All-Star game. Maybe we'll do our all-time Phillies because there's no baseball.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. So I like it.
We'll have to figure it out. But hey, thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate you. We will be back on Thursday with who knows what. Until then, if you're watching on YouTube, click the subscribe button. Share it with someone. Then do that with wherever you get your podcast. Apple, Spotify, somewhere that I don't know. Make sure you do the same thing. Subscribe, rate, share, comment, all the stuff. Go ahead and follow us on all social media at the on Twitter, at the Mic Drop 5, at Big Regz with a Z. Then at the Phixated fan page on Facebook. But also, my friends, click the merchandise link in the show description. We will talk to you on Thursday. Enjoy Alec Boehm in the Home Run Derby. Regz prediction, does he make it out?
No.
Okay.
I love you, Alec, but no.
Yeah. Also, congratulations on your dating the SportsCenter anchor. I forget her name. Proud of you.
Yeah, good for you.
And one last thing before we sign off, I'm going to tell you I love you. I'm going to tell you to, take care of yourself, take care of others. But I also want to congratulate Mike Muscala on his retirement and say thank you for your one good deed of making a three-pointer that landed us our one and only Tyrese Maxey.
There it
We
is.
love you all. Take care of yourselves. Congrats, Mike. Thank you.
See you, everybody.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.